Doctors Today. The latest discoveries in the world of medicine. Many of the most mysterious miseries of mankind may be traced to a disease that began in a pig, a cow, or a goat. Have you heard the strange story of the disease that afflicts 1 million people in a dozen different ways? Here's what doctors know today about brucellosis. The American Medical Association, in company and its independent affiliated stations, presents Doctors Today, a weekly report on the progress of medical science. This week, a report on the diagnosis and treatment of brucellosis. We first hear Dr. W. Bauer speaking for the American Medical Association. Dr. Bauer.
We have discovered how to trap a criminal when he tries to tell a lie with that ingenious instrument known as the lie detector. For many years, doctors wished they had a lie detector for the disease that is commonly called either brucellosis or undulant fever. Brucellosis is a nasty little liar. It often leads a doctor to believe that his patient has any one of a dozen other diseases. It has such a confusing variety of symptoms that any doctor might look for tuberculosis, typhoid fever, or even a gallbladder infection. Fortunately, doctors are now able to arrive at a diagnosis with a blood test. And today, there is a treatment that promises to put an end to most of the misery that brucellosis inflicts on mankind. It's entirely possible that there is a case of brucellosis in your own family, or that you or one of your friends may have it. Brucellosis rates very high among the communicable diseases, even though it often goes unrecognized. Let me give you some clinical pictures of undulant fever that were encountered by a fine old family doctor. It's a story that I'm sure you'll find well worth hearing.
Two doctors met for the first time a few days ago under very interesting circumstances. Dr. Ralph Johnson is about to begin his practice in Bensonville. Dr. Martin Hartray has been a general practitioner in Bensonville for almost 25 years. These men are a generation apart in age, but they have a great deal in common. Dr. Hartray said,
I hear that you served your internship at Columbus Hospital.
Yes, and that's why I've come to see you. Dr. Claypool is our chief of staff, you know.
Oh, yes, Claypool. How is that grand old man?
Dr. Claypool said that you'd probably refer to him as that grand old man.
I know. I always get a rise out of him when I introduce him that way at a medical meeting.
Well, he asked me to remind you that he's only 2 years older than you are.
Yeah, I know. He says that just because I was 2 years behind him in medical school. Great man, Claypool. Real credit to the profession.
Well, he said to be sure and look you up the first thing as soon as I got here.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'll be glad to do anything I can to help you get started.
Thanks. Dr. Claypool says any time I need help on a diagnosis to call on you, because you're one of the best.
Plenty just as good as I am right here in Bensonville.
Well, Dr. Hotchkiss and Dr. Manders told me the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Ralph, you younger men needn't take a back seat because you're just starting out. You young fellas have had excellent training. Better than we had when we were in school.
No, but you have the experience, and you've kept abreast of medical development. Doctor, I don't like to take up so much of your time.
Quite all right. Sit down. What's on your mind?
Well, if you could take a few minutes to tell me about situations under which I might get into trouble on a diagnosis, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Well, one thing I would advise you to be on the lookout for is brucellosis, which the folks in this part of the country call undulant fever.
All right. No, it's hard to diagnose a clear-cut case without a blood test.
Not only that, but it's so tricky, you're almost sure to look for something else first. I've had some very interesting cases where I was way off on the wrong track until I hit on the answer.
Mind telling me about a few of them?
I had one about 3 weeks ago that had me stumped for a while. This was a man about 35, an artist.
An artist?
Yeah. He belongs to that artist colony along the river there near Midvale.
Mm-hmm.
came into my office. The first thing he said was,
Doctor, you've got such an interesting face.
well, glad to have your opinion, Mr. Sorensen, but I've been told by others that I'm about the ugliest man in town.
I would say homely rather than ugly, but it's a good, strong face.
Well, thank you.
You don't mind if I sketch your features while we talk?
No, go right ahead.
Would you mind
but,
turning your head a little bit more to the left?
uh,
That's it. Try not to look at me. Look at the wastebasket, if you will, please.
Mr. Sorensen, if you come here as a patient...
Oh, very definitely. You see, Doctor, in the last few weeks, I've suddenly developed some very severe headaches.
Headaches? Ever been troubled with them before?
No. Don't look at me, please. Look at the wastebasket.
All right.
No, I've never been subject to headaches. This is a new experience for me.
Mm-hmm. Anything besides headaches?
Yes, I've had a sore throat.
Anything else?
The past few weeks, I haven't eaten enough to keep a small bird alive.
Very marked loss of appetite.
I am literally living on my nerves. Now, why should this happen to me when I lead such a wholesome life? I don't smoke. I never touch alcohol. I'm extremely careful in my eating habits.
What do you eat?
In my choice of food, I see eye to eye with George Bernard Shaw.
Interesting.
In other words, I'm a strict vegetarian.
Cooked or uncooked?
Whenever possible, I eat them in their natural state. Raw. Raw carrots, tomatoes, onions, broccoli, etc. And, of course, raw fruits.
What? No raw meat?
Oh, no. No, I haven't eaten meat for 12 years. I live as close to nature as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit, Doctor.
Is that right?
And look at the wastebasket, won't you? That's fine.
What do you drink?
Usually milk, and of course, just as it comes from the cow.
In other words, you've been drinking unpasteurized milk.
Yes, but it comes from the very finest herd of dairy cows in this state, so there's nothing to worry about on that score.
How do you know they're the finest?
They're all thoroughbreds. 2 of them took blue ribbons at the state fair.
That doesn't prove the herd is healthy, of course. But do you have any other aches or pains?
No other, but isn't that enough? Goodness knows I am uncomfortable.
Well, first I want to look at that sore throat. Then we'll make a blood test.
Blood test? Oh, Doctor, that's not at all necessary.
And about a half a dozen things that we can learn from that blood test, Mr. Sorensen. Now, if you'll put away that sketch pad, we'll get down to a serious examination of your symptoms.
What do you think it is?
Well, from the little you've told me, it could be a lot of things.
Something serious?
It could be very serious, or it could be a very minor ailment. Just put your head back now, open your mouth wide, and say, ah.
Oh, Doctor, I'm beginning to get one of those headaches again. I do hope you can find out what's causing them. Oh, they take so much out of me.
Well, there you have the case. Fellow went right back to nature. Ate his fruits and vegetables raw, which is a good thing, of course, if you don't carry it to extremes. But now he had headaches, no appetite, and he had a throat inflammation.
Well, that could be almost anything.
Yes, but fortunately, he told me that he had been drinking unpasteurized milk.
That, of course, could mean tuberculosis, typhoid fever, or, well, a lot of things.
Yes, but the blood test showed undulant fever.
I'm surprised that he was able to buy unpasteurized milk.
Don't be surprised at anything like that. You can't buy it here in town, of course, but out in the country, they still sell raw milk. I get impatient with some of these farmers. They're so sure that they have healthy stock just because they have some purebred animals.
Well, I guess you'll find undulant fever just as often among the thoroughbreds as among the scrub stock.
More often, because they are exposed to infection much more when they are placed on exhibition. Ralph, I wouldn't drink raw milk from the cleanest barn in this country. Any farmer who doesn't boil his own milk is just asking for trouble.
I agree with you. But I'd like to hear some more.
Oh, yes. Well, let me show you what turns up sometimes. One day, an old patient of mine, a 30-year-old woman, came into my office.
Dr. Hartrey, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm going blind.
Blind? Now, wait a minute, Mrs. Mayan. You aren't wearing glasses, and your eyes look quite normal. Where do you get this idea?
Well, I already have a blind spot in one eye.
Which eye?
This one. when I close the other eye and look out of this one, part of what I'm looking at is, well, fuzzy, sort of indistinct.
Let me look at that eye.
I've only noticed it for a few days, but it's really got me worried. Maybe I only imagine it, but it seems to be getting bigger.
Now, just lean back a bit and try to look directly into this light. That side. That's all.
Oh, what do you think, Doctor?
Mrs. Meyer, what you'd better do is go to an eye specialist.
All right. Shall I go to Dr. McGregor?
Yes, he's a very good man. He'll probably find the answer very quickly. I doubt if it's very serious. At least I hope not. At any rate, I think you can trust his judgment. I thought I had disposed of an eye infection in the proper way, but I soon learned that I had missed the boat by 1,000,000 miles. Dr. McGregor called me and said there was an infection in the retina of the right eye, but he was unable to learn the cause or the nature of the infection.
No, it isn't often a good eye man has to call for help, is it?
No, but he was smart enough to suspect that the infection that localized in the eye began somewhere else. So he sent her back to me for a general examination. She came to my office, and when I questioned her, I found that it was more than an eye infection.
Jack and I were talking it over last night, Doctor, and suddenly we realized that neither of us has felt right for a long time.
Well, now, let's just see what it is that's different nowadays.
Well, for one thing, we find that we get tired very easily.
I see.
And we begin to get on one another's nerves. We snap back at each other, and we speak very sharply to the children. We didn't used to be like that.
Is there anything that's happened in your home life that might account for this situation?
No, our home conditions haven't changed much. It's just that we suddenly find ourselves in these violent arguments, and all over nothing that really matters.
And you say that you have days when you feel completely exhausted?
Yes. Jack can hardly drag himself home from work, and I can hardly get my housework done.
Well, Miss Meyer, I'm going to give you a complete physical checkup. And perhaps I'd better do the same for Mr. Meyer. You're sure there's nothing in your family life that would account for these quarrels?
No, it's nothing like that. Jack and I get along perfectly when we feel good.
Well, I think you're both due for a checkup.
Well, Doctor, we'll do anything you say.
I'll make some tests with you now, but I'd rather have you both come into the hospital so that we can make a full examination.
All right. I'll talk to Jack about it tonight, but I'm sure he'll want to come into the hospital, too. We want to know the answer.
Good.
I'm worried about this blind spot in my eye. Maybe it has nothing to do with the way we both feel, but we can't go on like this.
Well, I took Mr. and Mrs. Mine into the hospital, and we gave them the works. X-rays, basal metabolism, blood tests, everything. You know what turned up?
I suppose it was undulant fever.
Yes. And I had no reason whatever to suspect anything like that. It might have been so many other things, but that was what showed up in the blood test, and we later found out that one of their children was slightly infected.
Had they...
I don't think it was a milk-borne infection in this case. I questioned them very carefully about that. Of course, they may have had raw milk while they were on vacation, but I suspect that their infection came from eating some uncooked pork. Brucellosis breeds in barnyards, and while it has never passed from person to person as far as we know, we can get it from cattle, hogs, goats, and even horses.
I was just thinking how lucky we are that we can detect it in a blood test. So many other different symptoms which are so like so many other diseases.
Yes, there was a case that turned up the other day. This fellow's what most people would call a very progressive farmer. He has all the modern improvements on his place. Dairy barn, all spick and span, big herd of dairy cows, and everything looking sanitary. Yet, here was a very sick man. As I stood beside his bed, he said to me,
We've all had the flu this winter, Doc, all except me. Guess I've got it now.
Tim, how long have you been coughing like this?
Oh, a couple of days. I got an awful pain in my back.
Yeah? Where does it bother you most? Here, roll over and put your hand on the plate.
All right. Oh, it's right there.
I see. How long have you felt sick?
Oh, a couple of days. Finally couldn't get out of bed this morning. Mrs. took my temperature and found out I had a fever, so we decided we'd better call you. Oh, this doggone back of mine. It sure hurts.
Tim, I've never seen you acting so sick before.
Acting? I ain't acting, Doc. I really got something this time.
You haven't any fever right now.
Huh? Is that so?
Your lungs are in first-class condition.
Oh, no. Why, Doc, they can't be for a fellow who's coughing like I am.
Well, I can't find any congestion around there.
Doc, I'm getting pretty mad at you.
Yeah, why?
Here I am feeling bad all over, and you say there's nothing wrong with me. Now, somebody's lying. It ain't me. I know when I'm sick.
I didn't say there was nothing wrong with you, you great big ox.
Well, you hear that cough?
Sure, I hear it. Now, you lie back there while we get down to brass tacks on this situation.
Okay. Excuse me for losing my temper.
All right. Tim, have you had your cattle tested for tuberculosis?
Why, sure, they've all had the TB test. What the has that got to do with how I feel?
Is there any chance that they've got Bang's disease?
Bang's disease? Say, now, are you a vet on the side, Doc? Ain't it enough to have me sick?
I asked you a simple question, Tim. Can't I have an answer?
Why, my cattle are as healthy as any you'll find in this county.
Oh, they are? Mm-hmm. Have they been certified?
You mean against Bang's disease?
Yep.
No, but they ain't got it. Why, they're all healthy.
Have you lost any calves in the last 6 months?
Well, what if I have? What's that prove?
It might prove that some of your stock has Bang's disease.
Yeah? Well, what's that got to do with me?
You send a lot of milk to Bensonville, don't you?
Yeah, quite a bit.
When you take it to the dairy, they pasteurize it, don't they?
Yeah, I guess they do.
You boil your milk around here before it's put on the table?
Oh, now listen here, Doc. I got a clean herd of cattle. What are you trying to prove?
I'm just wondering if you could have undulant fever.
Well, if that's what you think, you got another thing coming.
You don't mind if I make a blood test, do you?
No. Go ahead. But I wish you'd pay more attention to my backache. That's what's making me so doggone miserable. I feel just as weak as water. Doggone it, this is what I get for calling in a city doctor. Next time I'm going to take cold pills, and I'll be out of bed next day.
Oh, you will, will you? Jim, I've always found you very helpful when you call me here to take care of the children, but when you get on the flat of your back, you don't behave very well.
Well, I'm sorry, Doc, but I just feel so downright ornery. And then when you say my cattle might have Bang's disease, well, what are you trying to do? Scare me into a fit? No, sir. You just treat me and never mind about my livestock.
Well, there you have it, Ralph. Another case of undulant fever.
You mean the blood test showed that?
Yeah, wasn't any doubt about it. Tim had undulant fever, and I treated him accordingly. Complete rest in bed. Ordinarily, he's a very active man, but I made him be lazy and treated him until he seemed to be completely recovered.
Once they have it, I'm told that there seems to be a tendency toward a relapse.
Oh, yes. The minute their resistance runs down, they're likely to go through the same old misery. In many ways, undulant fever acts like malaria. Many people have chills and fever and weakness and fatigue. In fact, it's easy to make the mistake of assuming that your patient does have malaria. I remember I had a fellow in the hospital about a year ago, and he said to me,
"Well, Doctor, they told us when we were fighting the Japs that they could keep us from having malaria. We took a lot of pills, but still some of us got it. Look at me. Still the same old chills and fever. It really gets me down on a bad day like this."
"John, I saw a lot of cases of malaria, but your case is a little different."
"Well, how do you mean, Doc?"
"Well, you don't seem to respond to medication quite like the others do when they have a flare-up of malaria. I wonder sometimes if this is malaria."
"Gosh, Doc, I don't know. But this is the way I felt when I was down in Guadalcanal."
"Yes, but you should be able to throw off these attacks without all these complications, these pains in your arms and legs. We should be doing better than we are in stopping all that. John, what are you doing before you came in here?"
"Well, I was behaving myself pretty well, Doctor.
What kind of a job did you have?"
"I was a butcher."
You mean you were working in the meat market?"
No, I was in a packing house. I took care of fixing cattle and hogs for the market.
Oh, I see. John, I want you to come into the laboratory this afternoon for a blood test.
But I've already had a couple of blood tests.
Yes, I know. This time we may find the right answer. I won't make any promises, but I think you have undulant fever. Ralph here was a completely different case. A young man who had been afflicted with malaria when he was in the South Pacific. He'd been troubled with flare-ups several times. Now, there was no longer any trace of malaria, but because he had become a butcher, I suspected undulant fever.
Doctor, the more I hear about these cases, the more I become confused. Aren't there any symptoms that point directly to undulant fever?
I'm afraid not. Otherwise, they would have been discovered long ago. No, this is a disease that is difficult to diagnose because it has so many symptoms. And yet, no human being can infect another person. It comes to us from animals, the cow, the pig, the goat, by drinking unpasteurized milk or by direct contact with a diseased animal.
Yes, I know.
Don't think for one moment that we have undulant fever under control. We haven't. I was called to the bedside of a young girl the other day, and after I made my examination, she said to me,
Doctor, is there any hope for me?
"Why, Janice, of course there is. You aren't nearly as sick as you think you are."
Do I have TB?
Oh, of course you don't, my dear. If you did, I'd have told you as soon as we examined your x-rays.
Well, then why do I feel so sick? Is it my heart?
No, your heart's fine. Quite normal.
But why do I have these awful headaches? I get so tired.
Oh, I don't know, Janice. It could be a lot of things, but I'm waiting for one more report on a blood test. Come in. Oh, thank you, Miss Williams. This is what we've been waiting for. Yes, Janice, you might have had tuberculosis or rheumatic heart fever or a lot of other things. I couldn't tell until I saw the results of this blood test. You have undulant fever.
Well, what's that, Doctor?
We don't know exactly what causes it, Janice, but we do know enough these days to cure a great many cases. Ralph, I can look back on the days when we didn't have a way to treat a lot of diseases. Today we have the ways and means to combat almost every communicable disease.
Oh, I know we've got a lot of things that we can do with the sulfa drugs and penicillin. But what about a disease that's so difficult to diagnose, like undulant fever?
Well, we have the blood test that proves that it's there.
Yes, but how do we treat the difficult cases?
I think there's great hope for the treatment that combines the use of sulfadiazine and streptomycin.
You really do?
Ralph, the big problem will always be the fact that the possibility of undulant fever is so often forgotten when a doctor is making a diagnosis. Don't you ever forget that it might be undulant fever.
Oh, I'll try not to, Dr. Hartray.
If you ever do, I'll never forgive you. I've made that mistake, but I didn't have the warning that I just gave you.
Dr. Hartray, if you'll stand by me when I need you, I'll never let you down. You've helped me a lot tonight. You older men know so much.
No, we don't know enough. We still have a lot to learn.
But all of you that I've met seem to have such a deep love of humanity, such a desire to help.
I guess you haven't met enough of us. We aren't any better, and I hope we aren't any worse than the rest of mankind.
Well, from what I've seen, I think you men in Bensonville are pretty decent. I hope I can live up to the standard you've set for us.
You really mean that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, darned if I don't think you're going to turn out to be a pretty good doctor. But just remember, you're in practice now, and there never was a doctor in practice who didn't make a mistake. So come around to our medical meetings and learn how to make as few mistakes as possible.
We again present Dr. W. W. Bauer, speaking for the American Medical Association. Dr. Bauer.
You have heard the story of undulant fever, a disease which should be completely preventable. undulant fever was prevalent in the Mediterranean area, where a great deal of goat's milk is used, and particularly on the island of Malta, from which it took one of its less common names, Malta fever. It was supposedly introduced into this country in a shipment of goats from the Mediterranean area. Malta fever is due to a germ which is capable of infecting goats, cattle, and pigs. There are 3 forms of the disease, but they are interchangeable between the species which they infect, and all are capable of infecting man. Undulant fever is not contagious from one human being to another. It is transmitted solely through animal contacts and through the drinking of raw milk. Therefore, the disease could be eliminated among most of the population if the use of raw milk could be discontinued. There has been great argument over the question whether or not to pasteurize milk. The scientific indications are clear as to the 2 important factors involved, namely safety and nutrition. As far as safety is concerned, there is no doubt that properly pasteurized milk is infinitely safer than the best of raw milk, even when safeguarded by the process known as certification. The producers of certified milk acknowledge that pasteurization is an additional safeguard. As far as nutrition is concerned, pasteurization does no harm to the nutritional qualities in which milk unpasteurized is adequate. Pasteurization does reduce vitamin C and vitamin B1, but milk is not the most significant source of these vitamins in the normal diet, and therefore this reduction has no nutritional significance, because a normal diet is not an exclusive milk diet. Prejudices against pasteurization are numerous. Many people say they do not like the taste of pasteurized milk, but properly pasteurized milk cannot be distinguished by taste from raw milk. Some people with fads and notions about natural foods claim that milk should be taken as nature intended. These same people, however, habitually cook their meat and do not consume it as produced by nature. All the arguments for pasteurization are logical and scientific. All the arguments against it are illogical and unscientific. Perhaps the reason we have not achieved universal pasteurization is that, in spite of science, people continue to behave like human beings.
Doctors Today is presented by the American Medical Association through the facilities of the National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations. This program is presented on behalf of the thousands of physicians who are working night and day to protect and preserve the lives of 141 million Americans. The American Medical Association invites you to join us again next week to hear another report on the progress of medicine and surgery in America. Doctors Today, written by William J. Murphy, comes to you through the facilities of the National Broadcasting Company and the affiliated independent stations associated with the NBC network. The orchestra is under the direction of Bernard Berquist, with original music composed by Emil Soderstrom. The entire production is under the direction of Norman Felton. Heard in today's cast were Jess Pugh, George Kluge, Claire Baum, Norma Ransom, Florine Sears, Russ Reed, and Tom Bosley. Doctors Today came to you from Chicago. Your announcer is Hugh Downs. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.